At the start of the year, scoring was up, and I even did a video on it. Scoring's up, scoring's up. Well, those were the days, huh? The key stat right now to me is Connor McDavid looks like he is set to become the highest scoring player in the league over a full season. He is the highest scoring player right now. And though there's a lot of people who talk smack about Connor McDavid, the proof's right there. The guy is putting up a lot of points. I think he'll get challenged in the end by Sidney Crosby. I think Crosby's capable of putting on fantastic runs like he did in the second half last season. But I think McDavid's the only one who's even got a shot at 100 points. McDavid's number one, Kucherov is second, and it's insane that Kucherov's second considering the contract squabbles and everything else that's gone on with Kucherov, and he's number two with 26 points in 22 games. And, that's a good total too. But it's not on 100-point pace. And then after those two, the highest you get is a point per game. Mark Scheifele is 24 in 24 games. Vlad Tarasenko, 23 and 23. Patrick Kane, 23 and 23. Patrick Kane went on an incredible run last year, and I don't think anybody can expect Kane to replicate that. Tyler Seguin, 23 points in 23 games. He is not having a good season. Galchenyuk, 22 points in 22 games. And then from there it drops below. Panarin, Kessel, Malkin are all close to a point a game, but they're not quite there. Malkin and Kessel are 1 point below, and Panarin's 2 points below. So, this is the NHL now. A guy with 70 points could be top 10 in scoring in the NHL, and it's for a guy who grew up during the 80s. It's just strange to see that league wide, and when you see Canucks who are struggling to put up points. Everybody's struggling to put up points. So scoring levels are right back down where they were, despite the early 8-2, 7-4, 6-5, all those incredible games. We're back to where we started. And I'm making a video on this so that we can decide whether that's for the best or not. Is that the whole NHL mantra seems to be to sell the game in the U.S. Wouldn't a flashy, fun 100-point player sell the game better than a workman-like, hard-fought 80-point player? And then I look at the records, the scoring records from the 80s, and none of them are even going to be close to being broken by the current crop. Goaltenders. I mean, early in the season, everybody said, "Oh, talk about goaltenders." Yeah, let's talk about goaltenders. Vasilevsky in Tampa with a 1.5 goals against and a 951 save percentage in 8 games. Tuukka Rask, 1.63 goals against and a 940 save percentage in 16 games. Carey Price, 1.66 goals against average and 946 save percentage in 15 games. Devan Dubnyk has the exact same stats. I'll let that sink in for a minute. Matt Murray, 1.75 and a 939. Jimmy Howard, 1.82, 940 save percentage. Pekka Rinne, who some people have taken shots at, and I've said occasionally he's been a little down. He's apparently been up lately. 1.98 goals against and a 935 save percentage. Jonathan Bernier in 9 games has an 2.02 goals against and a 933 save percentage. Craig Anderson, 2.03 goals against, 936 save percentage. Calvin Pickard, not to be confused with his brother Chet that I pulled out of whatever European league he's in last night on NHL to throw him back in the free agent market. 2.03 goals against and a 932 save percentage. Peter Budaj, 2.04 goals against, 917 save percentage. The save percentage is a little low, but that goals against is insane. And a 12-6 record. What the hell is going on? Budaj setting the clock back about 10 years. Sergei Bobrovsky, 2.15 goals against, 929 save percentage. Matt Jones, 2.15 and a 917. Braden Holtby, 2.18 and a 920. Any of the year, he'd be, well, maybe he's in the conversation for Vezina. Well, this year, get in line. The 920 save percentage and the 2.18 goals against don't even get in the conversation right now. It would be Dubnyk, Price, and Rask. This is a crazy age we live in. Luongo's right below that with a 2.20 and a 925 save percentage. So we're back. Goalies are fantastic. Scoring is down, and we're back. Actually, while I was paused there, defensemen. Let's look at scoring by defensemen too before I finish this off. Brent Burns leads the way with 20 points in 22 games. Shea Weber, 18 points in 22 games. He's cooled off quite a bit. Andrei Markov, 17 points in 22 games. Erik Karlsson has 17 points in 22 games. Victor Hedman, 17 points in 23. Karlsson's cooled off quite a bit too. Zach Werenski, 16 points in 20 games. He's got to be right now. I would think Calder is his. Duncan Keith, 15 points in 23 games. All assists. Just weird. Shattenkirk, 15 points, 23 games. PK Subban, 14 points in 21 games. And Martinez. Let me go ahead and click on Martinez here. Martinez is a curiosity to me of all of the high-scoring defensemen. And I say that because in this time where, Alec Martinez is from Michigan. In this time of down offensive totals, he just keeps getting better. So he had 31 points last year, which was a record for him. He had 22 points both of the previous 2 seasons in less games, admittedly in less games. And then now this year he's on pace for almost 50 points. Alec Martinez is the exception. He's the guy who keeps getting better offensively as the years go by. But definitely scoring is down. And this is, when do we start hearing more talk about the NHL trying to open up the game? Because that's usually where this leads. Been a lot of shutouts lately. There's been a lot of low-scoring games. I don't think it means games are more boring. I certainly don't. Anybody watched Montreal and Toronto? A 2-1 win for Montreal there a while back. Not a boring game. And then you look at the Canucks. I think that was a 6-5 win over Dallas. That game was horrible. It was terrible to watch. Just horrible. So many bad plays that I just shook my head at. So this is why when people say, oh, we need more goals, I think you need more flow to the game. You need more excitement. You need more shots. That'll generate some more goals, but we don't just want more goals. You don't want to expand the net and then have a bunch of people saying, well, those goals wouldn't account with the old nets. So, we're going to have now advanced stats on which shots would have hit the original net and which ones wouldn't have, and who's actually a more accurate shooter. Anyways, all opinions are welcome. All comments are welcome. I just figured that I would discuss that because I discussed it earlier in the year when the scoring was up. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, hey, we're around the end of November. And I said back in October when scoring was way up, I said it's not going to last. And I didn't want to be right. But it's been down lately. Unless you're the Rangers. Or, there's a few teams that are staying up there. But in general, scoring is just down. The goaltenders are just that good and that well padded. And equipment size is definitely part of the problem. Definitely. And in some cases, goaltenders are just flat out better than they were 30 years ago. And they're bigger and they're faster. It's just the name of the game. But where do you think the offense has gone? How many games have you watched lately where you've said, and when you watch a game that's 2-1 or 2-2 and goes into overtime, do you sit there as a fan and say, oh, this game would be so much better if there were a couple extra goals in it? I can't think of very many times that's happened. If a game's boring, it's boring, and it's usually because nobody's even getting shots on net, and there's a lot of face-offs and whistles, a lot of icings. Those are the games that bore me to death. So, anyways, let me know any recent games you've watched that made you fall asleep, or any games that you really enjoyed that were 2-1, or games that you've watched that you've said, you know what, this is the level of scoring we should have. I think it's just the nature of the beast. I don't think scoring will ever get back to what it was, certainly. And I don't even know if it'll ever get back to early 90s levels. I think where we're at is where we're at. And I think it's just going to continue to drop from here. Expansion will artificially inflate it. Typically, expansion will inflate goal totals for that first couple of years because teams lose depth, and the expansion team usually allows a lot of goals. But in general, This is the new NHL. Let me know what you think in the comments and hit like and subscribe if you're just browsing through.